Okay, boys, here we go. New deck day. Let's see what the first things we should go for. Okay, first of all, obviously, look around, make sure everything is fine, visually, like nothing heavily broken, nothing bent, as little exterior damage as possible. Okay, and then we plug it in, and let's see. Okay, we got signs of life. Right. Okay, this is a motorized door. Let's see if it works. It's a bit sluggish. I'm gonna go with that's gonna be a belt problem. Okay. Let's see. Let's turn on a light and see what we have in here. Okay, it's a bit dirty. Doesn't look too bad. Okay, it definitely needs a good clean before we put any tape in it and try to play it. Okay, so for cleaning, you need Q-tips, isopropyl alcohol. That's it. What you need to do, take out some Q-tips, dip them in alcohol, and then rub them all over the tape path, which would be erase head right here, clean it up, record playback head, clean it up, pinch roller, clean it up, and then you will also need to do the, this is the capstan, and then you also need to do the pinch roller, which is down there. So this is how it looks now. I'm gonna give it just a slight clean. I don't want to get too involved here to begin with. We just need it clean enough to play a tape and see if everything's fine when it comes to that. Right, I'll be back after I finish that. Okay, so we gave it a good clean. Now, in case you don't know how to deal with these Technics decks, how to take out the door, just grab it from the bottom. It just comes off. It's really easy. Then you close the door, and in order to actually get access to clean the heads and everything, and for azimuth correction and stuff, like you just have to pull this little plate up gently. As you can see, it's got these little notches here that go onto these clips, and there you go. Now you got access to the whole front. So as I said, you clean the erase head, the record playback head, the capstan, the pinch roller. Also, with these, it might be hard to get the pinch roller rolling, because it won't engage if it doesn't have a tape in, theoretically. So what I did was got an old tape, took everything out of it. It's just a shell. And now with this, if you put it in and close it, the deck detects that you have a tape in, so now you should be able to just play. And as you can see, the pinch roller is engaged, right? So you can just clean it. I would recommend you take it from behind, not from this part, because if you put your Q-tips here, it's just gonna put cotton on the capstan, so that's a bit of an issue. So try starting to clean it from behind. Always just use isopropyl alcohol. The higher the concentration, the better. It evaporates quicker, and just make sure you give everything a really good scrub. Okay, so now that we made sure all the tape path is clean, we're just gonna take a tape, pop it in. Normally I would recommend you use mirror tape to begin with, but I don't know if you have that, just to make sure it's not gonna eat things up, or in this case just the tape you don't really care that much about. Okay, Okay, and let's see Dolby, because that's what this has in it. It seems fine so far, it hasn't chewed it up. Okay, that works. The Dolby's a bit off. Okay, let's put a photo. Okay, so the Dolby is off. I'm not surprised, honestly. Okay, well, it works. Rewind works. Fast forward works. Let's see if it can do the auto detection for the track skip. So I guess not. Yep, it doesn't. That may be because I don't have enough space between the tracks. Okay. I'm gonna rewind this and then we're gonna move on. We're gonna take this thing apart and go into like a deep clean and see what's up, because I expect the pinch roller to be done. It has a belt for the door open and close mechanism. As you can see, it got stuck, so that's probably gonna be perished. Yeah, it doesn't do very well with that. Obviously it's gonna need a calibration, but let's take it easy. Like, it's gonna need relubing, it's gonna need a calibration, complete calibration, and then we'll see. We might even do some mods to it. Okay, let's take it apart and see what we have inside. Okay, here we go. Lids off. Actually, it looks really clean inside. Also, how difficult it was to get the screws out. I'm pretty sure this has never been opened before. Okay, let's see. Let's look at the belt. Okay, so this is the belt for the eject mechanism for the door. And actually, this is pretty good. Okay, so it's probably not that. It's probably just the grease in the gearing for the eject mechanism is probably a bit, old, which I totally expected. Everything else looks pretty clean. As I said, I don't think anyone's been here before. So now what we need to do is take the mech out. We're gonna need to clean these leaf switches. They always have issues, and I noticed with this deck as well. Sometimes because the switches don't work right, it flips really fast between detecting the tape as a type 2 or a type 1. So definitely needs a bit of a clean here. Everything's gonna need to be relubed. Clean the capstan, everything. Make sure everything is oiled right. Let's get on with that first. Okay, so first we need to take the mechanism out. Should be fairly straightforward. We just need to take these cables out. Okay, so to take these out, what you need to do is you need to push on the connector, and that will release it. I don't really want to do this with one hand, but just like push on them, like here. Just push, and then you pull the cable out. Again, be careful when you do that. Make sure you don't forget to disconnect the head connectors. And yeah, we should be good. Okay, let's carry on with that. Okay, just another quick tip. With this connector, the one that goes to the headphone amp, it doesn't work by pushing. You need to pull this up to release the cable. Again, this is a bit finicky holding the camera with one hand and trying to pull it up. Like one of them popped, but this other one, this regulator is right here and I don't wanna... Okay, but yeah, you get the point. Just pop them up like this. Okay, so in order to take the Mac out, what we need to do is connect this, the headphone amp. Theoretically, that's not really necessary, but it gets tangled up with everything. Disconnect this one. This one you don't really have to take apart. This one you don't really have to take out, but I'm gonna separate the eject from the actual mechanism, I think. Okay, we've got those. We've got this one here that has to go out, and the head connectors. I already took those out. And next, you're gonna need to, here we go, you're gonna need to take out these screws. They are marked. It's the same as on the RS-BX707, 606, everything in this range. Like, if they've got the front panel looking the same, it's probably gonna be the same kind of setup here. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. Alright. Here's another tip. Just because you've seen one of these models, don't assume they're exactly the same in all of them. Honestly, this is pretty much exactly the same as the 626, other than the calibration, like the record calibration function, and the motorized eject. But here, like, always download the service manual and read through it before you get into into any of this. It's just like, it's good practice, because this one, unlike the 626 and the 606, because it's got the motorized eject, it has two extra screws, one here and one here, that you need to take out in order to take the front out. I have seen it before I went ape on it and tried to take it out with brute force, but then I just remember that it's best to just read the manual before you go in, because something like this, if you're not careful, you could really damage something if you start pulling on it and you don't know what you're doing. Okay, that part came easily. Okay, here we go. So it came out easily. Just make sure nothing grabs onto anything. Alright, here we go. So the front is out. Okay, let's take a look at this. Yeah, okay, so it's not perished. It is pretty tight, but as you can see, it's already shaped because it's been sitting there for a long time, and also it's kind of smooth. This doesn't look like it's gripping right, so our problem may not be with the lube in here. I don't know. We will investigate this later. Anyway, now what we need to do is take out the actual mech, and for this you've got one screw here, one here, this one here, and that one there. Let's take those out and see what we got. Okay, another reason why the service manual is a must. Like, obviously I took this out, cassette door was closed, and if the cassette door is closed, you cannot take out the mech. So the service manual will tell you that you just need to turn this counterclockwise and eject the door. So yeah, that saved a lot of time, because if I didn't have the manual, what I would have had to do was just plug it in, put everything back together, and then eject the tape, and then undo everything. So again, good to have the service manual. Okay, so we're not gonna bother with this for now. What we're gonna bother with is the mech, which looks pretty good. It's a bit dirty, but that's expected. Grease doesn't look too bad on it, but I will clean everything up and re-grease it. Like with stuff this old, you should really just do that by default, unless somebody has been in here and done it before, which in this case is not the case. So yep, re-lube. You're gonna need to put a drop of oil in the motor. Obviously capstan's gonna come out and that's gonna get lubed. Probably new pinch roller, as that one's looking mighty shiny. And also these leaves, these leaf switches, these are gonna have to get really good, a really good clean. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so we're at the workbench now. What we're gonna start with is the capstan. We're gonna need to clean that up and lube it, make sure everything is fine. In order to do that, we're gonna need to take out this cable and these 4 screws, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then carefully lift up this plate and make sure the capstan itself stays in place. You might want to hold on to it from here while you gently lift that up. So let's see how that goes. Okay, it's apart now. Again, looks really clean on the inside. Yeah, nice. The only problem I see is something very common on these old, well, on these Technics decks. You see this little cog here, it's split. This is for fast forward rewind. I might tackle that. We'll see how it goes. But first order of business is to take out the capstan carefully. Alright, and we're gonna give it a very good clean and then re-lube it. Make sure everything is nice and wet, because right now it's looking really dry, which I would expect, you know, after spending so long. Alright, the way we clean this is, again, isopropyl alcohol and you know, cotton swabs, tissues, whatever it takes to get this really clean. Make sure you don't have any debris in it. Just, you know, give it a good clean. It should be fine. Also in here. Yeah. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so another problem with doing this kind of job is you have to do things as they come. At least in my head. I'm not following you know, like I have a basic path of what I'm going to do, but you have to tackle issues as they come along. So with this, since we already took this off, obviously we were cleaning the capstan, right? So you're going to have to clean this back bearing as well and add new grease to it. We'll do that in a bit, but I also took out this assembly and we're gonna put a drop of oil in there. Now the oil I use for capstans, motors and stuff like that is just watch oil. Again, I don't know a lot about this. Some people say that compressor oil, there is a type of compressor oil that's supposed to be the best, but I can't really find it. Again, a lot of information. Just go to tapeheads.net. You're gonna find answers to a lot of things there. But yeah, I've gone with watch oil. Been using it for a couple of years now. It seems fine. I haven't had any problems with it, so we'll see as it goes. We'll see how it goes. Again, the way I'm going to apply it is I just have a syringe, just put a tiny little drop on the bearing and allow it to you know, just seep in. Normally you should use like a thinner syringe, like something for insulin, I guess, with a very thin needle. But I don't have any, and this is what I'm going to go with. Alternatively, just use a pin and dip it in the oil, take one drop and put it on it, and you should be good. Yeah, okay, so we're going to tackle this. We're going to let that seep in, and on this other side, what we're going to do again, since we're here, it doesn't seem that bad, like the grease on this cam, it doesn't seem bad, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this off, and then this, clean all the old grease out, and then just new grease. Also, this is the grease I use, EM30L. This is again highly recommended on tape heads. Everyone is raving about this. So yeah, this is what we're gonna go with. All right, let's get to it. And of course, I almost forgot about this little thing, which, as I said in this Technics Dex, this is just it's gonna be more than likely cracked, right? So what we're gonna do to tackle this issue is we're gonna rough up the surface a bit. Of course, do not touch the actual teeth on it. Just like rough up the exterior, and then we will just use some 2-part epoxy. Just give it a little coat on the outside. Again, don't touch the teeth. Yeah, just give it a bit of extra strength, I guess. Best option would be to just get some new ones. You can find these on eBay, I guess. So yeah, but I'm just gonna, oops, oh, there it goes. I'm just gonna try and glue that back and see how it goes. Okay, so here's what I'm using. 2-part epoxy. Any decent quality one should be fine. Just needs 2 little drops. I've put the little gear on a toothpick, and I roughed the outside of it with an X-Acto knife. Should be good to go. So we only apply the epoxy to this part right here. Obviously, do not touch the gears. Do not slop it on. You don't need that much. Just give it an outer coating. Make sure it doesn't go to any side, and you should be good. Let's get on with it. Okay, so this is done. I didn't listen to my own advice. I cooked it on a bit much. But again, as long as you don't touch the actual gears or the bottom of it, you should be fine. So we need to let this dry. And next we're gonna take out this, pretty sure this is what detects the speed of the capstan in order to regulate it. So for this one, you don't take out this screw, you just take these 3 out. So let's get on with that so we can get access to this and, as I said, clean everything up and relube it. Okay, so I've taken this out, gave it a really good clean, all the old grease is off, and that's a good thing. Good thing I didn't skip on this, because the grease on this was really nasty. It's all caked up. I gave it a clean here as well. The parts you need to clean when you do this is obviously cam, then this pole, let's give it a good clean, this as well, this is coming from the other side, and this little nub here, just clean everything. And when you go back to grease it, obviously grease up all the parts that you cleaned off. But because everything's so caked up, what I'm gonna do while I'm here is just grease, like re-lube the whole mechanism. So I'm gonna have to take this plate off, the plate with the heads, and we'll go with that. This needs to go out, the pinch roller. Then, from what I remember, I should read the manual. I need to take this spring out of this little notch there, and then, like, if you move it, it should come out fairly easily. Yeah, and then we'll have to clean everything that has grease on it. Cleaned again, isopropyl alcohol, very well cleaned. Don't leave any residue of the old grease because it might alter the new grease you put on. So good, clean, then re-lube it. Okay, I will take this off and tell you how it goes because I'm too lazy to read the manual, which you should read. But yeah, take it off, tell you what you need to do afterwards as I figure it out. Take the plate off. What we will need to do is take the pinch roller assembly off, the pinch roller arm. That's really easy. Just need to pull this clip back a bit and then pull the whole arm up. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. Oh, there we go. That came off fairly easily, no issue. Next thing you're gonna have to do, be careful because you're around the head, do not scratch the head. You need to pull this spring, it's a pretty thick spring. You need to pull it out of this little arm. And then, the last part, you see this little plastic, I'm sorry, my camera work is really bad. See this little plastic release here? You need to pull this up. And then there is another one right under the erase head. You can actually probably see this one a little bit better. It's right here. You need to pull this one up as well. And then this will slide off. The whole head assembly, this whole plate. You just need to release it from here. And yeah, it should pop off. Let's see how it goes. That came off fairly easy. Also, the wires, they are put in this little clip here. Just be wary of that, take them off gently, do not break the wires. Yeah, so here we go. Here's what we're left with. Clean up all the grease underneath these as well, be careful with that. Everywhere, like on this bottom where you see grease, just clean everything off with IPA. Remember what you cleaned off, and then new grease. And also on this plate, the sides, they will need new grease there, as you can see. And on the bottom, again, you can see where the grease is, and that's where you will put new grease on it. Look at the state of this. This is what I was saying, that this is really dried up. So yeah, good thing I took it apart. Okay, let's get to clean. Okay, so now everything's out. Everything's clean. There's absolutely no more grease on this anywhere. And now it's time to grease it up. Yeah, also I took this bar out from here because there was old grease in there. The door release mechanism, I also took that out because it had grease underneath. So pretty much anything that had grease in here, I cleaned up. So there we go. Next. Okay, so now everything's greased up. I've already assembled the eject release, the door release, and this. This is all freshly greased up. I'll just have to put it in, and that will be that. Everything's greased, clicked in, put the big spring back on. Make sure this is in the correct place, because that's a spring that has to go onto that assembly as well. Yeah, it's really smooth. which is the way it's supposed to be. Can't feel any play, so that's good. Okay, next up, turn it around and grease this up, and then start greasing that cam and popping it back in. Let's go. Okay, here we go. So this is all greased up. That's greased up. The little pole here is greased up. Those are greased up. So it's ready to go back on. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out the orientation. It should be like this. Okay, let's see. I went the wrong way. It should be this way. Okay, left clicked in. I put this in right. It should be like this. Yeah, there we go. Right. Let's see, now I'm not convinced. This feels a bit dodgy. Okay, let me figure this out. So it needs to be turning clockwise. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, now just get some oil into the capstan bearing and plop that back in. Let's go. Back in. It's got oil in it. There's a bit of grease on the back bearing. Bit of grease on this bearing. I think we're good to go to put this thing back together. Okay, so next thing, this is going back on here. Again, be careful with the capstan, because it's got the magnet in here and it's gonna get attracted to that plate, so be careful with that. Should be fine other than that. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so now everything's back together. Screws are in place. Don't forget, this one is the long one. Make sure you don't really mess that up. And for the plastic screws, always when you put them in, turn them, like put them in their place and turn them back, so counterclockwise, until they click and fall into place, and then screw them in. Do not directly screw them in, because if they cut their own thread in here, it's probably going to crack the plastic. So always be careful about that when you're dealing with plastic screws, even with metal ones. Like, it's just a good practice, good thing to do. Other thing, don't forget to connect this wire back together, and yeah, we should be done with that. Also, don't forget to put these wires, like the head wires, back in their slot. Okay, everything looks good. Now it's time to change the pinch roller. It just does not look right to me. Got a lot of bumps. It's just not in a good state. So what you need to do to change this, you just get something to push this pin out, and then it should free up. So you push it from the front towards the back, and then you just get a new pinch roller. Obviously clean everything up really well with IPA, and then have just a drop of oil, like a very little oil. Just have it, put it right in the hole. Do not get oil on the rubber part, because that's just bad, right? And don't go too heavy on the oil, because it doesn't need that. Most people don't even use it. I just like to have a bit in there just in case, right? So take this apart, clean it up, new pinch roller, see how it goes afterwards. Okay, here we are. Got the new pinch roller installed in the arm. It's it's got a tiny bit of oil in there. Everything looks nice and clean. Just pop this in. Oop. Right. There we go. That clicked in, that's fine. Another thing I like to do, because these Technics stacks don't come with a washer here for the capstan, and I clean my I clean my tape path a lot with IPA, and IPA obviously breaks down oil. So I don't want my IPA going into my capstan bearing. So what I do is I make a bunch of washers from this is Bowden tube. This is from my 3D printer. It's Teflon, and I just use this, put it in, get an X-Acto knife, and you know, just cut a few of them. They don't have to be perfect. It doesn't really matter that much, because as you can see, they're not the best. You can go on at it till you get some good ones, but for me it doesn't matter. What matters to me is you know, I just take one, put it in here, stop the IPA from going into my bearing. So let's see if I can do that here with one hand. It doesn't have to go all the way down, like it shouldn't touch the bearing. There we go, something like that. That's good. Right, so I guess this is our mechanism. Everything's nice and clean, relubed. Yeah, it's ready to go back in. But first we got other things to address, like the eject mechanism. We'll get to that. Then we're gonna have to clean some pots, just general cleaning, and then we'll put this back in. So okay, let's move on to the next step. Since we have the mech out, this should come out fairly easily. Just guessing. You want to be really careful with these cables. I mean, you don't want to abuse them too much. How does that come out of there? See, this is why you should always read the service manual. Maybe... Yes, yeah, I don't feel right pulling that out. I'm gonna go see what's up and come back to you. Okay, so I don't know exactly how I pulled it out, but I guess I just wiggled it out, and this clamp here, like it was out a bit, so I guess maybe that helped. Anyway, it's out, and from here on, probably gonna take these two screws out, and that's gonna give me access to pretty much everything I need. You know, just gonna do the usual, clean everything out, new grease. I don't even know if I should bother with this, because I'm looking at it and it doesn't look bad at all. It doesn't look like it's seized or anything. So this should work without any issues. I think the only issue we had was that crusty belt. So I'm thinking if I just replace that, it should be fine. But since I already have it open, you know, we're gonna take a look into it. I'm gonna set this to the side right now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the, you know, the fluorescent display board, so we can get access to these, like all these potentiometers. I need to clean them out with deoxit, make sure everything's fine that way. Also, I'm considering maybe just taking everything out of it, out of this faceplate, so I can give it a nice, good, deep clean. We'll see about that. Let's take this board out, get to the pots, and yeah, see how we can clean those. We're probably gonna have to take these knobs off. and then there's some plastic clips holding it in place. Screw here. Okay, might be just one screw. Okay, let's get to it. The display board is out. It was relatively simple. All you had was one screw, and then just work your way around these clamps. It does have these contact pins that go on the front, and these that go to the record level control. So be careful with that. Don't pull on it to one side. Just ease it out bit by bit, corner by corner, till it comes out. It was good that I did take it out because it's filthy in here. So you know, that's a good thing. Next off, we're taking out this board so we can get to the bias and level, controls there. So yeah, we need to get there in order to clean these things up. So unscrew all these screws, and it's got these plastic clips on each side. Fairly straightforward. Okay, so it's about a month later. Stuff has happened. I've broken stuff, so I got a bit annoyed that I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I didn't film the rest of it. But I had a problem with it. You know how I used epoxy to glue this back together? It after a while it just slipped off, kind of. And that was pretty annoying. So what I ended up doing is like these are M5 insets, like thermal insets. You're supposed to heat up and push into plastic for a place to screw into. So what I've done is I've used a Dremel tool to get rid of most of the thread inside, and then I just kind of screwed the cog into it. And this is supposed to give it strength. Like I don't see how this would ever slip off again with this around it. Yeah, because initially I was thinking I'm just gonna buy this, but I was wrong. Like the parts I was seeing were for like the plastic parts like this for stuff like the BX501 and 506 and stuff like that. RS-BX501 and 506, like the newer mechanic they had in these decks. So I couldn't find this one, so I had to improvise. So here it is, and I'm gonna put it back in, and that's gonna be that. Yeah, next video. Okay, here we go. It's back in. I do not think this is gonna slip or come off anytime soon. It's really tight on there. I left enough clearance, obviously, for everything to still work right. You can take it out, but it's not gonna come off by itself. Okay, so everything's still lubed. I didn't change anything since last time. This is pretty much it. It's just this caused me issues. Alright, so it's gonna come back together. The mech's gonna be back, and we'll return after that. Okay, so here's the mech together. Everything's lubed. Again, I'm gonna say, like, what happened was this is about a month later since the last series of videos. What I did was, obviously I modified this deck as I do with all of them. So what we have here is, let's go bit by bit. Okay, so we have the head buffer here. This is gonna allow you to get lower noise on playback. We got that. In order for this to work right, I changed these resistors to be able to lower the gain correctly, because this does that a bit of gain. Also, I've done the resistor mod to allow less distortion or recording. Change this op amp, and the relay mods. This because it has a test signal for calibration, it needs 2 of them. And here is where everything went wrong. Like I've done this before on different decks, same relay, same component, same everything. But when I put this in, what I was greeted with was pretty much a dead deck. Like capstan motor wasn't turning, nothing was turning, no commands were doing anything. Just powering it on, it just dimly lit the edges of the vacuum fluorescence display. And I obviously I went back to the mods because this worked when I got it, but you know, it stopped working. So I went back to the mods I did, and I figured out that, you know, when you get too comfortable with what you're doing and you kind of don't really pay attention for a bit, what I did was I installed, these are socketed. What I did was I removed the original chips, put a socket in, obviously changed this resistor to diode, same on that one. And what I did was I put the relay the other way around on the socket. Well, actually I should say I put the socket the other way around. And in my head, I didn't see a problem because I wasn't paying attention, right? Like my brain didn't tell me, hey, you're doing something wrong. It was just like carrying on. And then when I finished, I didn't double check it because you know, as I said, you get a bit too confident, a bit too cocky about what you're doing. Yeah, always check your work. So what happened was like this, I installed this the other way around, and I put it in the socket, and then stuff didn't work anymore. And I went around, tried to figure out what was happening, and like, you know how everybody always says just check voltages? Well, I checked a few voltages, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know what it is. And then I came to the conclusion that it was, you know, this big chip under the vacuum fluorescence display, which is pretty much impossible to get. Like, I couldn't find it anywhere. And I started thinking, oh, I need a donor deck. What am I gonna do? You know, it's like, why did I break this? I don't know if I probably should, you know, I'm not good enough to fix these decks. I should probably stop working on it, stuff like that. You know what goes on for your mind when you screw something up big time. And then I went to the best resource for this, like on tapeheads.net, and I asked around, and everybody was telling me check voltages, and in my head I was like, nah, it can't be anything simple, it's gotta be that, because I was checking the voltages on that chip, and I wasn't getting the right voltages, and I was thinking, okay, it must be shorted or something, you know. And I tried this assembly on another deck, and it did the exact same thing, so I was like, okay, the problem is here. But then I insisted, you know, I was like, I gave it a couple of days, I took a break from it, and I came back, and I started testing voltages again, and it took me back to, you probably won't be able to see it, there's like a little diode right here, next to that, yeah, there you go, it doesn't matter. So yeah, it pretty much took me to that, and that was broken. I switched that, and it kind of worked, you know, like everything went back together, it started playing again, you know, but it didn't sound quite right. The recording was off, it was really dodgy, and also the VFD, it kind of pulsed whenever like the volume went up, it kind of dimmed the VFD. It wasn't a lot, but it was noticeable. And initially I was like, oh, okay, so I did break something, whatever. And then I went back on it again and again. And what I did find was this resistor here. If I can focus, yeah, there you go. This resistor here was shorted. And so I replaced that, and lo and behold, everything went back to life. Everything was perfectly fine. It's really, everything's working the way it should now. So it was pretty much a diode and a resistor, but those almost made me give up. But yeah, you know, like everything with electronics, whenever you're troubleshooting something, check voltages, and that's it. And then go back, obviously service manual with you, schematic, everything. These Technics decks are actually pretty good when it comes to this, because they give you voltage readings on pretty much any important important trace, any important pin. You have voltage readings, which make it really easy to troubleshoot it, even for somebody who's not the most electronically inclined. But yeah, so don't just assume things. Always check voltages and don't give up, and then you get it. Okay, so we've got all those mods. Like, again, I'm sorry I didn't show me installing them, but yeah, it got it really pissed me off when I made that mistake. Right. Also, another thing I did, another mod, I guess you'd call it, was this diode here, this Zener diode. I think it was a 5.6 to begin with, and I switched it to a 4.3. I think this is like the take-up torque, because these decks, from what I found, they always come with like excessive take-up torque, and it makes the tape, you know, swivel around the pinch roller and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just I do this with pretty much all my decks as a default now, because it's always been a problem. I haven't seen a single deck that doesn't have that problem yet. Okay, so also I don't know exactly what I touched on in the last video or not, but I obviously cleaned all the controls with the Oxid. I cleaned the inside of the display window to make it like nice and clean. Yeah, everything was cleaned. There we go. So now what we're gonna do, oh, another thing which I don't think I mentioned in the other video, because I don't think I got to it, the door being sluggish to open. It was not the belt on here. I did change it, but that's not what the issue is. It was this spring. This spring, because it's old, I guess, I don't know, and because the deck was closed for such a long time, it wasn't springy enough anymore, so it didn't have enough power to push the door out. Yeah, now it works. There are still some tapes, like, but I don't think like this spring would have to be really strong to overcome that. There are some tapes that still kind of catch a bit, but I don't consider that an issue, to be honest. Like I've been playing with this for like a month now, and it's been, you know, it's been fine. I haven't found that to be a problem yet. Alright, so time to put the mechanism back in, and I'll take you over calibration a bit. Do take into consideration that I already calibrated this deck, obviously, but I will try to go to the steps. The service manual also takes you through the steps, but yeah. Okay, so putting everything back together and then showing you how to do the calibration. Okay, so here we are. Everything's put back together. Everything's good. Now, for the alignment, pretty much, calibration, we're gonna need, well, what I use are these tools. So, regular, run-of-the-mill, cheap voltmeter, you don't need anything special. Or, you have a really nice true RMS voltmeter, and that could probably substitute for the next tool I'm going to use, which is this little pocket oscilloscope thingy. I'm not necessarily using it as an oscilloscope, more as again an RMS voltmeter, because this has AC, and also it like calculates stuff for you. You got RMS, you can auto calibrate stuff like that. So yeah, this is fairly useful. Okay, this is on the tool side, so that's pretty much all the tools we need. Okay, like regular screwdriver, stuff like that. You need a Phillips head screwdriver that's not magnetic. Do not use magnetic screwdrivers, especially when working on the mechanism itself, like azimuth and stuff like that. Never use that. And for the controls in here, honestly, your best bet would be a ceramic screwdriver, stuff like that, but I don't know if you're gonna have that. I don't use that. It's honestly, it's less important here. You can use kind of whatever you want, just be careful. But yeah, here, non-magnetic, no debate. Okay, and next we're gonna need, obviously, test tapes. First one, it's just, I made this myself. You can probably buy these things, but you know, they're hard to come by. Prices are probably pretty high. So what it is, it's just a regular cassette, and I cut it up and put a piece of mirror inside of this, a mirror tape. Right, this is first. You will need this. Obviously, if you have like an M300 gauge or something like that, go with it. I don't have one. I can't find one. I don't know how, like, it's really expensive and stuff like that, so I just try to get by with this. It's probably not the most accurate, but it's usually going to get you there. I also assume most decks you get are gonna be in an okay-ish state, you know, like you're not gonna get something totally wrecked. So this should be good enough. It should at least show you if you have problems. Okay, that's first. Then you're actually going to need the calibration tapes, and I got this set from Hans Rothpeter. I'm sorry if I'm mangling his name up. Okay, so Dolby level, azimuth. This is speed. On these decks, honestly, direct drive, you're not gonna have problems with speed if there's nothing that's damaged and everything's oiled up well and stuff like that. Like, these don't stray; they're pretty much bang on. And also like a frequency sweep. So these are the basics. Honestly, for this deck, I could probably go without this. Okay, the thing with these is, you're gonna find stuff on like eBay. It's like, oh, calibration cassette, you know, Dolby, whatever. Like you're probably not gonna get actual real calibration cassettes on eBay. Just putting that out there. These are not like, you don't record these on your deck at home, right? Most of these need to be full track, which is the whole tape is just recorded in one go, in one track. This way, like, let's say you're gonna, where's the Dolby one? Okay, let's say you're doing the Dolby, right? The Dolby, the level calibration, and the tape is not full track, right? It's the regular 4-track, because every cassette tape has 4 tracks on it, right? If it's stereo. Let's say it's a 4-track or even mono, right? And your azimuth is not dead on, and it's not bang on, and it's not done on the same machine that you're calibrating and stuff like that, you know. Automatically, if your heads aren't going to be straight on it, if they're going to be a bit crooked, then you're not going to get the correct level, right? This is why it has to be full track. Azimuth, same thing, you know, it has to be full track. Frequency sweep, pretty much, they all have to be full track. Otherwise, you're just screwing around, you know, you're not really doing anything. So don't go on eBay and buying those. I mean, they're also like expensive. I looked, I was like I don't know, like £40 a tape for something like Dolby level and azimuth or something like that. Like, that's like these, and these are not all of them. Like, there's 2 more. You've also got this 1 kilohertz for head death, I think, but this is for Nakamichi stuff. I don't use this. And then we've got this level, 315 hertz, 250. I don't use these. These are not for this deck, at least. I don't use them. And also like the level one. Some manuals ask for this. Honestly, I don't know which deck you can calibrate with this. Like, even the Technics manual, it asks for 315 hertz and stuff like that, or 1K. I did try to calibrate to this, but obviously because I didn't know enough, I made a total mess out of it, and then I went on tape heads again. Best resource probably for this kind of stuff. And they told me, yeah, not all tapes are recorded the same. Yeah, you need some parameters, sorry. And then they just told me just to set the level with the Dolby tape and measure it on the Dolby chip. And there's this guy Lucky on the forum who made a list of all the voltages you need to get with this tape. And you just calibrate to this, and it doesn't matter what the service manual says. If you just calibrate to this, you know, being that you know what the Dolby chips are and what the factory specs are, if you calibrate with this tape, it's just gonna be, you know, correct. Yeah, alright, so enough rambling about that. Let's get on with it. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pop the mirror tape into it and take a look at the tape path, see if that's okay. Yep, let's go. Okay, this is as good as an angle as I can get. Like, I'm sorry if it's not that good, but I don't know how to make it better. Okay, here we go. So the mirror tape is in. We're looking at, obviously, the mirror. So we're seeing what's going to happen to the tape from underneath. So yeah, let's give it a play and see what happens. Now, what we're looking for is we need this path to be steady. We don't want bumps, we don't want waves, we don't want anything, you know, we want it to just be nice and smooth, no pinches, no nothing. And we're gonna move this light around. And see what's happening. Now, my problem is this tape is kind of worn already, as you can see, like it's fluttering, so I'm gonna need to do something about this at one point. Let's see if it's better here. I don't know. Like, as you can see, it's nice and steady. I'm really having difficulties trying to film this. Like, the camera's always in the way. But yeah, everything is nice and smooth, but this is after, obviously, like, I'm sorry, I quit doing it. This is like after I've aligned everything. So what the issues you might have are, especially with these decks, and I've seen it, they've all had this kind of issue, which is the erase head is too high up and it pinches on the tape. And people have told me, oh no, it's the pinch roller, stuff like that. I went through numerous pinch rollers from different suppliers and stuff like that, and it's always been the same. So what I ended up doing with this deck, as well as with my BX626, was I just sanded a bit of the, like on the erase head, it's made of plastic, so I just sanded a bit off. Again, not the part that touches the tape, oh no, just where it mounts, right? And that brought it down enough to where it doesn't pinch on the tape anymore. Yeah, so what you're looking for is everything needs to be nice and steady and smooth. Another thing, like, if the take-up torque is too high, which is what I was talking about earlier, where I changed that diode, you will see the tape go. See how it's like nice and steady over here? You would see it go side to side and stuff like that. Maybe even fall off the pinch roller, get chewed up, you know, if your take-up tension is too high. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Honestly, I never want to change stuff around just for the sake of changing it, because I think that's just a waste. But this, like that diode I was talking about, again, you can find the details on tape heads. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what it does without pressure pad. Yeah, nice and steady. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean anything without a pressure pad, but I do this just to make sure everything's nice and steady, because sometimes with the pressure pad on it's gonna look fine and stuff like that, but when you take it off it just goes off the rail. So yeah, this is fine. Alright, there you go, nice and aligned, I would say. Okay, next step, azimuth. Okay, here we go. So yeah, it doesn't want to open because I have it in the wrong position. Again, I'm just demonstrating now. When you do set any of these things like azimuth level, stuff like that, make sure it's in the correct position, it's horizontal, you know. But I'm trying to demonstrate to you how you do this alignment. Okay, so azimuth tape is in, and you're gonna want, again, a non-magnetic screwdriver. Like most screwdrivers these days are magnetized. Try to not use that. I mean, definitely don't use that, because it just might cause problems and you don't want to deal with it. Okay, so we got the tape in, and if you look inside here, I'll try and get a bit better light. Okay, you see these screws? For these decks, the azimuth adjustment is this one. Yeah, don't mess with the other one. It's going to be this one. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start the tape. Obviously, wait for it to go in correctly, right? There we go. We can hear it already. Let's see. Here we go. I'm using a scope, like a softer scope for this. It's almost there, I guess. Yeah, always use this, like the normal oscilloscope view. A lot of people would say, "Oh, use this," but this isn't really that accurate, right? So what you're going for is peak magnitude. Yeah, pretty much you want it to be as loud as possible, so you're turning that screw left and right, like clockwise and counterclockwise, till you get them as loud as possible, and then you need to get them in sync. Like you need them both to be in the same, you know, pretty much overlaying each other. And then what you're gonna do to find out if it's correct is you're also going to stop it and play it again, see, and see if they align again. Mine is a bit off. I will adjust that off camera because I don't want to have to do this, you know, while trying to hold the camera as well. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much it. So you need both waveforms, both channels to align. Again, you can do this with like a regular oscilloscope if you have one. I'm just doing it with this because I don't have a two-channel oscilloscope. I just have the small handheld one. And you can find, like, you can use plenty of software oscilloscopes. I just use this one because it's easy. Like I have another one. I also have this. I can't. Let me try and see if I can do it because it won't start while the other one's running. Like this is what I use for the rest, like the frequency sweep and stuff like that. I usually use this because it's a bit more advanced, I would say. Like it's got more stuff in it. But yeah, you could also use this for the azimuth calibration. Let's see if it will start. Yeah, there we go, see? But this one, from what I've seen, like it's not as stable on the triggering, but it will also do the job just fine. Alright, so you do this, as I said, what you're looking for is both waves to be as loud as possible, and then you want them to be on top of each other, right? And that's how you set the azimuth. Okay, next up, let's let's finish this one. Next thing we're gonna do is set the level, and for that I'm gonna need to put the recorder in its actual horizontal position. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, oops, here we go. This is really difficult for me to film. Sorry, I'm not that good at this. Okay, so here's Lucky's page on the calibration cassettes, and also yeah, here you go. Here also, this is translated because it's in German originally. Here you have this, the Dolby chip list, right? And it pretty much lists all of the chips here and what decks they're usually found in. If we go down, like, you can all obviously read the name of the chip off the Dolby chip itself. Well, let's do it like this. Well, let's go all the way down. Sonic TX Technics. Here we go. Technics BX707. CXA 1331S. CXA 1331. Pins 13 and 18. So that's where you're measuring your Dolby level. And it's supposed to be 388 millivolts. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna try to position this as well as I can. Again, sorry, not the best setup, but this is what I'm hoping at one point I will just be able to do. Okay, here we go. So as I was trying to say, I'm hoping one point I'll just be able to do this better, but for now, like, this is what I'm gonna have to work with. Okay, so we've got the scope here. Let's play the tape. Here's the probe, and we have to, because this is playback, we're gonna go for the Dolby decode chip, right? So pin 13 and pin 18. Here we go. Here's pin 13. 395. That's a bit hot. We will adjust that. So where you adjust that is here, playback gain. This is where you're gonna adjust the levels, right? So here we go. This is left channel, right channel 413. Ooh, that's really spicy. Okay, so we have to be at 388 millivolts. Let me get my adjustment tool. I should have been better prepared for this, but here we go. Like, you've got a bit of wiggle room, but honestly, you should be able to get it fairly spot on. Okay, so here we go. Probing pin 13, 395. This is left channel, I think, and we need 388, 93. Again, it's really sensitive, so you have to go at it easy. See, it overshot really easily. I'm trying hard here. 81, come on, you can do it. 83. Now 91 is gonna have to be fine. Again, it's not like, that's like 2 millivolts. That's nothing. Okay, here we go. Let's try to get, because this one was a bit too hot. 79, 81. Oh, too much. 87, 89. Okay, so it's bumping there, so it's pretty much spot on. I'm gonna go ahead, like, you sometimes you have to be like, that's good enough, you know. And this is gonna be for me good enough, because I'm gonna spend probably like I don't know, 20 minutes trying to get it perfectly right, and then, you know, just it will move a bit afterwards, and you know, all that time will be wasted. But again, this is totally within spec. It's perfectly fine. Okay, that's the playback level. Okay, now for the frequency response, we've got the sweep here. We're gonna put this in, and let's see what the manual says about it. Okay, so play back the tape. Yeah, here it's telling you to use EVM. We're not going to use that. We're just going to use the PC. And here are the tolerances, right? Like, this is the thing. There's really no adjustment for this on these decks, from what I can tell. So yeah, you just have to check that it's within this spec, and the spec is pretty loose, to be honest. It's yeah. Okay, so that's 315. That should be pretty much the top. And then that's the sweep. So what I'm gonna, for this one, I will use this scope. It gives you like a better idea of what's happening here. And what I'm gonna do is, let's see. Okay, it's between 18K and 30 Hertz. Right. We're good here. Okay. Logarithmic and hold. See, here's the thing, we're gonna have to clear this. Where's the hold? Here we go, hold. Okay, clear it. And now what we're gonna do is play on this. Okay, so it's gonna have a small burst at the beginning. Sets your level. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna clear it. Okay, so here we go. Play. Back at the screen. Here we go. So 315. So that's our mark, but I will clear that. I'm gonna remove hold, and now turn it on. And now what it's gonna do is it's gonna do a sweep of all the frequencies. It's not necessarily a sweep, it's just gonna have like multiple of these frequencies. Yeah. And we will see what it draws. You can see like all of the first ones are clumped up in here. There is a way to make it a bit more linear, but this honestly, what happens at the very low part is not that important. You can still see the differences, right? But you will have differences in there. And yeah, this is gonna take a while. Well, as you've seen, like the tolerances are pretty large, you know, like from -3 and like in the highs, like, you know, after 8K, like at 12.5 it's allowed, like you have a swing of pretty much 10 decibels. And it's still within spec. So yeah, something would have to be really wrong with either your heads or the electronics in the deck in order to have that kind of a swing. We'll see what we get here. Also, these lines, they are 1 decibel increments, so yeah. There we have our frequency. And we're obviously going to be within spec. I've never seen a deck that's not within spec, at least one that wasn't adjustable. So yeah, we're already at 9K, 12K. See here, we're supposed to be within -5 decibels, and it's like 1, 2, it's like 2 dB under the reference. So that's totally fine. Here we're already going a bit too high. There we go. You know, it's still going. Yeah, that's gonna be obviously a very noticeable dip once you get to like 16K. But still, everything's within spec. We're good here. This is already 18K. It's not even registering quite right. All right, so this is that check. Next, what we're gonna have to do is do the bias trap adjustment. Okay, next step is AC bias trap adjustment. We need a metal tape. Again, this when I was saying about the things you need to calibrate a deck. In this case, well, you're always going to need like a good type 1 for calibration, a good one that you know is good, preferably new, but from a stock that you know is good, you know. Yeah, definitely need that, and a metal tape, in this case for setting up the bias and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna need to put the blank tape in, put it in a record, and then adjust L1 and L2 so that the voltage between test point 3 and 4 and ground is minimum value. If you look here, if you scroll up a bit in the manual, it shows you where you are. Okay, so bias trap adjustment, L1, L2, and these are the test points for them. So here we go. Let me set the phone in the mount. Okay, here we go. So we got a metal tape. As I said, very good condition or new probably would be the best. This is a tape that's new, pretty much. I only used it for calibration and stuff like this. So here we go. I'm popping this one in. Okay. Record. Play. Very good. Oscilloscope here. And let's see, well, if it will boot today. Okay, here we go. Let's see. So test point 3 goes with L1. What do we have here? Yeah, like if this is hard to see, like, I'm sorry, but there's not much I can do about this. Like, maybe I can zoom in a bit. I don't know how much that will help. Okay, here we go. Here we can see the bias frequency, which is 80K in this case. And here we go. We've got, well, let's put this on DC. Okay, 117 millivolts, so we need to get it as low as possible. Let's see. Also, this is the problem when you're not using ceramic, right? When you put something metal on this, see, it changes the voltage because it affects the ferrite core. Alright, so let's see. Minimum, right? 123, that's getting higher. 135. 97. It's starting to go back up. So what's the minimum we can get here? Okay, apparently 95 is the minimum. 97. Okay, it went up. 97. 97. Okay, so 97 is about the minimum we can get here. It was on test point 1. Right. 320. Let's see if I can get it lower. 25. Yeah, okay, so that's gonna probably be it. I'm gonna have to get it back in. 99, that's too much. Too much. Okay, go back. There we go. That's as low as we can get it. Okay, next one. this 0.4 with L2. Okay, let's see how well we can get this. $109. Okay. Okay, this is pretty much as low as we're gonna get it. Okay, that one is done. Let's move on. Okay, so HX Pro adjustment, metal tape, record pause mode. So be careful, make sure it's in pause. DC voltmeter on test point 5 and ground and test point 6 and ground. And adjust L301 and L302. So the output is the minimum value. Okay. Here we go. HX Pro adjustment. It's these two with these points. Let's go. So here we go. Got the tape inside. Record mode. Put it in pause. Make sure you put it in pause. Voltmeter here. And let's see, it was TP5 with 301. This is for left channel, grounded there, of course. 301, yeah, 301. Okay, 4.66. Ooh, my screwdriver tip is too big. Okay. Going smaller. Give me a sec here. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see if it's gonna work. Yep, okay. 466, 463, 6665, okay. 466. Also, keep in mind I already adjusted this at one point. So it's gonna be small as possible, so because it's with minus, obviously because it's negative, it needs to be minus, you know, biggest voltage possible. Here we go. This is as good as we're going to get it on here. And TP6 and L302 53. Yeah, this is about as good as it's gonna get. Okay, this one was an easy one. Moving on. Okay, here we go. So we're doing the record frequency response. Well, it's pretty much the bias adjustment for this. Obviously, make sure all these controls are at 12 o'clock. Everything, like all the small controls, need to be 12 o'clock. And what we're gonna do now is we have a type 1 in there, known good type 1, and what we're gonna do, I'm gonna set this in record. Well, monitor the tape, obviously no Dolby, make sure of that. Tape's going, and we're gonna go here, and what I have is, like, obviously the manual says use all this gear and stuff. I don't have all this gear, so I pretty much what you have to make sure here is you don't need, you know, the ultimate reference and stuff like that. You just need to make sure that the frequency response of the playback, when, well, the frequency response of your recording is correct. And here are the tolerances for normal and the chrome tape. Alright, so what I am using is I made a small project here, but here we go. Here is 1K, and here is a sweep from 30 to 20 decibels. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna loop this 1K thing. There we go, we can hear it. And I'm gonna go to my deck here. And like the manual says, it needs to be at minus 20 dB. So here we go. We're gonna adjust the record level till we are at about minus 20. There you go. Somewhere around there. Yeah, we should be good. And now, what we will do is we'll go back to our, again, I'm using two computers. You can do this with one. It's just easier for me to do it with two of them. Okay, I'm here. We're gonna stop this. And then we're gonna go loop our sweep. This is a long sweep. It's gonna take a while. I don't know if I'm gonna want to film all of this, but we're here. I'm going to clear the screen, put it back on hold, and then let's just play this and see what happens. It's just gonna draw a graph here, and we're gonna see what we get. Also, like, you're gonna see like one channel is lower than the other. This is the levels on my sound card are not adjusted correctly, and I'm not gonna bother with it right now because I've already adjusted this deck. But yeah, I don't know if I should wait for a whole frequency sweep or just pause it and show you at the end. Okay, so here we go. This is 11K, and what we're looking at, like, you're gonna see some dips and stuff, but this is pretty much like software error. What we're looking at is at the peaks, and we can see like we're at almost 12K, and we don't really have dips. It's perfectly linear within 1 decibel. This is a type 1 tape also, so yeah, we're at 12.5. Here's pretty much where the type 1 test should have ended. I'm just gonna keep going because why not? But yeah, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for something linear. Again, don't look at the difference between the two channels because my sound card is not adjusted properly. Yeah, I would call this pretty good. Also, I've adjusted this before, but it didn't need a lot of adjustment. I just did it because I'm, you know, I like to torture myself with these things. But yeah, so here we go, pretty linear. Manual says, of course, do this with also with chrome and metal tapes. You know, I'm not gonna do this right now because I already did it. And it also tells you what you need to do if you have level up, and like if the frequency range goes up, just increase the bias, and if it goes down, decrease the bias. And it tells you here where you adjust that. It's VR301 and VR302. Oh, and it's looping back again. But yeah, here we go. That's a pretty good result, I'd say. Okay, moving on. For the overall gain adjustment, here it says preference signal, blah blah, you know, all this stuff. Record it like that. Okay, I'm not gonna do this. What I'm gonna do is do the same thing that I did for the playback adjustment, and in this case, what I'm doing is I have a 400 hertz signal going out of my signal generator in this case, but in this case it doesn't matter. Signal generator, 400 hertz going out, going into the deck. And what we're gonna do is, here's the source, right? We're gonna measure it. Where is it? There you go. Here's my little oscilloscope. Let me try and get this here. And I'm sorry if you're not gonna be able to see this, but there's not much I can do. So like this is what I'm working with. Okay, and what we're doing is we're testing signals here. I might have to go. Oh, there we go. Let's set that. We've got this at 50 millivolts. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm setting the record level, the input level, to where what I'm getting here, oops, is 391 that I was getting. There you go, 391. This is what I was getting on playback with the Dolby level tape. So this is on the record Dolby chip. And now I'm gonna go to the playback one and see what it gives me. And it gives me 409. That's a bit hot. So 38191, something like that. And here we've got 407. So we need to adjust the recording gain. This would be left channel record gain. It's probably VR5. Let's see if this does it. Yep, this is it. .391. 391. 391. Okay, there we go. Let's really make sure I'm in tape because I was in source. So no. 391. 391. Okay, and now we're gonna do the other channel. This says 395 here. Again, the balance on it is not gonna be perfect, but what we're going for is pretty much, let's make sure we're getting the same thing in as out within this range. 395 is still okay here. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, for the sake of argument, here we go. We're gonna make it at, oopsie, 389. Okay. And now we're gonna go here. 381. Okay, so we need a bit of boost on the right channel. Come on. 391. 389. Okay, so what am I? Okay. Ooh. Did I mess up my probe? Oh. Okay, never mind. Ground connection failed. Okay. Let's go back. 391. 389. Gonna try and bump it down just a bit, although again at this, yeah, we're good. Okay, and again on the left channel, 383, 383, we're good. Okay, so this is how I set the recording level. Okay, pretty much the last step in calibration is the actual tape calibration, like the thing to calibrate each tape. Honestly, this feature has a big flaw, which is the actual bias. It only records that on the left channel, so you can only adjust it according to the left channel. It doesn't monitor the right one. So if you have a tape that has a a bit of a dip on the left and stuff like that, it's just gonna throw your calibration off. So I'm not a big fan of this, but we will calibrate it nonetheless. I'm gonna show you how to do it because I already did it on this one, but yeah, let's go. Okay, so what we need to do is set it into calibration mode and then just make sure stuff here is where it has to be. Okay, let's go. Oopsie, this is gonna be difficult to film. Okay, port play, calibration. Here we go. Make sure everything is in the correct position. Okay, so this is the level, and again, I'm sorry, I'm just making sure this is in the correct position because the right level. So what we're gonna go with is, you see here these two trimmers. This LF, this is pretty much like low frequency, so this is the level calibration and this is the bias. So these are the ones we're going to have to adjust. I'm not going to do anything to them because they're pretty spot on and I already adjusted them before. This is what I'm saying about this being a problem. It only gives you like an option for like just one level adjust and one bias adjust when it should be two because it's stereo. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You just, when you have the level here for the tape you're doing, and that's going to be like your calibration tape. When you have your level there, you just adjust VR10, the low frequency one, till you get these, like both of them, in the same spot. This is pretty bang on. And then once you got that, you switch here, and this is gonna be the bias, and you adjust that till you get that pretty bang on. This is pretty good. Yeah, and then you go back and forth between them till they're both straight on. And then, if you don't know what this feature is useful for, whenever you get a tape in, to get the best results is you just go and record a part of it, right? You set the calibration on, and then you adjust the levels. Okay, sorry, let's put it back to level. Right, level, right? So, see, you adjust it or reduce it till you get it exactly where you need to. Yeah, like in this case. There you go, that's... this is why I'm saying, like, you have to know when to stop because otherwise you're just gonna waste time. So this is level and this is bias. Okay, it's gonna need a bit more bias. Yeah, but you see now that I adjusted the bias a bit, the levels are a bit off, so I'm gonna have to bring that back and that back. And yeah, here we go. Okay, so and now this tape is like calibrated to the deck, whatever. Okay, so that's just how you do that. There you go. I think that was the last step. Obviously at the end, give everything a good clean with isopropyl alcohol. Put the plates back in. I don't even know where mine are. Sorry, this is a mess. I was not ready to do this, but I figured since I had to take that cog out in the back and I had it open, I might as well finish the video. So yeah, we're gonna be putting this back in. Am I getting it right? Yeah, that's right. That popped back in. We're putting the face, the door back in. There we go. That's nice. Everything's good. Just need to pop the cover back on it. Again, let's see what we have in here because I think this one I'm gonna sell because it's already becoming a problem. Like this was my first BX of this series, and I do a lot of work to it, and that's fine. But now I've got this, and honestly, I don't have room for decks anymore. Like I have a lot more than you can actually see in here. So yeah, this one I think is gonna have to go on eBay. This one I'm probably going to keep because this is like pretty much the top end one. It's dual capstan. That's not pretty much the only difference between this and this one. And this is like the lower tier version, let's say that, because it doesn't have the calibration things. Again, I don't see that as something that is necessary. You can just do it by ear, get pretty decent results as long as it's a free head deck. And I've also got like I've got the JVC deck, that's free head. I've got the Morans, that's free head. I've got 601, I think, like a Technics, which is the newer one, and I think those are gonna have to go as well, because you know, too much is too much. But yeah, anyway, going back to this, so everything's been done to this. So everything's clean, all the grease is new. I put the old belt back in here because, again, that wasn't like, the belt is still good and it's like thick. It's fine, like the belt is good. The problem with this, again, is this spring. It was open. It still, as I said, it still catches on some tapes, but usually it's pretty fine. Let's see. Let's take a tape and put it in. I don't know. I'm gonna do something that's not gonna get me copyright striked, I hope. Let's see what we're doing here. Play Dolby B. I leave a bunch of room at the beginning of my tapes. I don't like to start them off immediately. At least 15 seconds. There we go. Okay. Let it turn up. Okay, sounds fine. Sorry about everything being out of focus. There's a Dolby. See, it's not encoded in C, it's encoded in B. Let's see, what do we have here? Counter, reset, that works. These I never worked with, so whatever. Meter range. Here we go. PRS, MPX filter, again the Dolby one. Monitor. Those work. Okay, everything works. Gonna look again. So we have the relay mods in here. We've got the record volume mods. We've got the head buffer. We got this. Oh, we've also got the on the meter amp on the back. We've got the diodes in there to prevent clipping, and we've got the take up real torque diodes changed there. I put it on the back just in case somebody wants to modify and put some other value in there. It's easier to do from the back than having to take the whole board off. But yeah, here it is. Let's put the rest of it back together, which is just pretty much the lid, and then we're gonna be done. Okay, so this is the final result. Yeah, everything is fine on it. The face is actually in really good condition. Knobs are in good condition. The only gripe I have with this, which is, again, it's not a big thing, but just in case, you know, putting it out there, is that it's got a few minor scuffs on the top, on the lid, like a scratch there, and just in general. Again, I'm sorry I can't focus this quite right. I'm trying my best to show what's up. But yeah, these are things that, like with a deck of this age, this is in really good shape. Yeah, looks good. I'm going to run it through the works for a while to just make sure that everything is nice and stable. I don't get any issues, so obviously it's gonna be tested extensively from here. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Like, this is what I do to my decks. I try to get them within spec and everything nice and new and shiny, like give them as long as of a life as possible. So yep, here we go. Thanks for watching again. Sorry the video is so long-winded, sorry for the break, sorry for all the stuff. I will try and do better. This was just like kind of a test to see if I could put together a video like this, and we will see how it comes out. Anyway, thanks for watching, bye.